Okay. Okay, I think it may be working. We have one guest with us, so let's change the settings on there. So hopefully it's going to be recording okay. I can sort of check as we go. But basically, welcome everybody. It's very nice to have everybody here today. There's two parts of today's session. The first one is obviously the students giving their presentations, and so we've got a nice set order for that. And that's going to take us for an hour and a half. And then after that, we'll have some light refreshments outside, and some other colleagues may join us. And then when the Vice Chancellor is here, he's scheduled for 12:15. He'll come and make the award presentations, and obviously there'll be an opportunity for everyone else to say a few words as well. So we're really delighted to actually have this programme at Harper Adams this year. It's obviously been a very interesting experience with not knowing the programme was going to run until pretty much 2 days before the students actually arrived. So that took a lot of confidence in Marshal Papworth and Harper Adams, and obviously the students themselves to actually, down tools, pack up their bags and get on to the next slide. So I think they really need to be commended for all their efforts there. So that's something which is really good. And as I say, over the last 8 and a bit weeks, the students obviously gained quite a lot from being here, and they've been working on their project. So today's session is very much just to highlight what those projects were. And then, as I say, they've benefited from having the online programme, which we had prior to them coming onto the residential course. And I think that is really insightful of the committee to actually go along with that provision. And people weren't certain why we were doing it and what gain it would have, but I think it's been universally accepted as being really worthwhile. It gave students the ability to understand what the programme was about, and moreover to actually sort of buy into it and actually commit themselves to assessment. And that really helped out enormously when they first arrived on campus. And in fact, because we had the videos of many of our lecturers, the staff were actually familiar to the students on first meeting, and that really did help. So although the programme's gone from 10 weeks to 8 weeks, I really don't think it's actually missed out too much due to that extra provision that Marshal Papworth Committee had the foresight to put on. And I think with that, we'll hand over to the first student. Robert's going up first, are you, Robert? Yes. Okay, over to you then, Robert. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Robert Tumyago Watara from Ghana. Here this morning to give you this presentation, what I've been working on back home in Ghana. So I have some few slides I will share with you. So basically, I'm working on moringa and baobab tree-based vegetable production, which is a surest way of improving household nutrition. The Yendi municipality. So by way of outline, I'll give you a brief background of introduction about the project. I'll give you my aims and objectives, my methodology, how I will carry out the study back in Ghana, operation with regard to the project, some final conclusion. So by way of background, malnutrition is rampant and continues to be a major issue within sub-Saharan. It is also approximately estimated that about 1/3 of 8 million deaths in children is mainly contributed to malnutrition. And in Ghana, about 22.8% of the northern population is extremely poor and are really suffering from extreme malnutrition. I've also realized that vegetable production and consumption of it would help get extra income as well as improve household nutrition. So with the research, I've come to realize that moringa and baobab leaf contains the required nutrients that can improve household nutrition and can also improve the diet in children suffering from malnutrition in Africa. And so with the introduction of moringa and baobab leaves in their household consumption, they can help to overcome the malnutrition in their household. So these are my aims and objectives I'll be looking at. My main aim is to promote household nutrition through the use of moringa and baobab tree-based vegetable. So my objective, I'll be looking at measuring the nutritional composition of the moringa and baobab leaves. I'll also be looking at educating farmers on the use of these baobab and moringa-based vegetables, because I've realized that most of these farmers within the northern sector do not have much knowledge and much idea of converting these baobab and moringa tree vegetables into improving their household nutrition. So by educating them and letting them to understand the benefits associated with the consumption of these baobab and tree-based vegetables, they can help to improve their household nutrition and also help to boost their children's growth. And lastly, I would assess household preference in terms of consumption, because these are two different tree-based vegetables. Moringa and baobab, they are two separate based vegetable trees. So I'll try to find out which of them the households prefer most in terms of consumption. So with my first objective in trying to come out with the nutritional composition of this baobab and moringa tree-based vegetable, I'll try to purchase this oven dryer kits where I will sample the fresh based vegetables, try to test the micronutrients in these vegetables to know the composition of it. I will also try to air dry it at room temperature to try to maintain the nutrient content in these vegetables, after which I'll try to evaluate or come out with a nutrient component. And by so doing, I'll be able to establish the outcome, the nutrients in both the fresh and in the room dry temperature. Then in the area of education, I will sensitize farmers through farmer schools, whereby we establish these nutritional gardens or gardens back in the community so that farmers can really appreciate the benefit and can also have access in harvesting these vegetables at fresh at the community level for consumption. I would organize participating cooking demonstrations, that is by organizing food bazaars, using these vegetables, moringa, baobab, to prepare the various dishes that the households can consume and improve their household nutrition, because these vegetables can prepare a varied number of food dishes, but this knowledge is limited to these community members. And so by doing so, they would come to appreciate that these vegetables can help really improve their household nutrition. I would also try to embed that of education, general education nutrition within the school or the young growing kids in the communities, so that they get to know this awareness, so that they can also, in one way or another, can educate their mothers or their parents back home to include these vegetables in their household nutrition. So how am I going to do that? I will be doing that within the 35 communities in the Yendi municipality area. I would sample 5 households within the districts. I would employ the use of random sampling by targeting some women or households that are into tree-based vegetables, so that I can try to probe to get their preference in terms of consumption. And in terms of the food bazaars, I would also try to, as I said, I would educate them, get to know the various uses of these tree-based vegetables. And the study will be conducted in Yendi. Yes, and Yendi is a community that is found within the eastern corridor of northern Ghana. It is a population of about 136,000, and with temperatures about 21 to 36 degrees, and usually with low humidity. So it's really a very conducive area where these tree-based vegetables can really do well for these communities to benefit from. I will also set up some kind of nutritional gardens in each community as a kind of an exemplary system where communities can go to adapt or learn from it so that they can rather replicate it in their. Yeah, these tree-based vegetables are usually grown throughout the year, both the dry season and that of the rainy season. Once water is available, communities or households can water these vegetables and harvest them throughout the year. So it will be carried out throughout the year so that farmers or communities can benefit from it. I would analyze my data using the SPSS that is on the farmer preference, trying to know the taste either for moringa or for baobab in terms of consumption. I would also employ the use of field observation, trying to be curious to know which the women actually really go for when they are going to harvest, because the garden would have both moringa and baobab growing in them. So by observation, I will get to know which of them they usually go in for. So with this, you can see some of the benefits one can get from the moringa. This is processed at room temperature, air dried. So you have all the nutrient components intact, but it is not exposed to the sun. So in conclusion, my project will seek to encourage farmers to grow and use vegetables from moringa and baobab in their household nutrition. Moringa and baobab leaves compared to meat could equally give you the same nutrients as meat will give you. So if households are not able to afford for meat, the alternative use is to depend on this moringa and baobab that can give you equal nutrients just as the meat can give you. So I will also realize that the baobab or the moringa has several medicinal uses that these communities or households can benefit from it, because it has the vitamins, protein, and anti-aging component that the household can really depend on it and can improve their household levels. Yes, this last slide tries to look at some of my take home on campus here at Harper Adams. I try to highlight these few things because this actually narrows down to the area or to my project, because I was speaking through keyhole gardening, which falls within my project line. So I will educate communities to have a small keyhole garden at their household level where they can incorporate this moringa and baobab vegetables to improve their household nutrition. And with the soils, it has given me a clear picture of trying to select soils where this moringa and baobab can grow very well in it so that they can benefit very well at the household level. And finally, farming, I've come to realize that farming is really a business. It's not just farming to feed the household. You can make extra income aside the main objective of trying to improve your household nutrition. You can make extra income from it. Thank you very much.
Have anyone got any questions for Robert?
Thank you for the presentation. How long does it take to grow a
ways of improving household nutrition. So going back home with to undertake this thing, I will now begin to find out, as I said in my objective, I will try to access, try to know the household preference, whether they prefer the moringa or the baobab, because it depends on each community and household preference. So by undertaking the project, I'll be able to really determine which of them individuals or communities prefer.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Robert. That's really clear. Okay, so now we'll have James up, I think. Brilliant, thank you. We're having a few issues with this. Okay, my apologies. Okay.
My name is James Peter. I'm from Ghana. I work with Ghana as an extension officer. This morning I stand before you to present to you that I have entitled Composting a Means of Addressing the Issues of Fertilizers in the Azuna West Ghana. The Azuna West Municipality falls under the central region of Ghana, and it is one of the poverty speaking areas in Ghana. The presentation I'm talking about the background, the aims and objectives, probably the monitoring, pushing and a few references. In Ghana, about 70% of food produced is by smallholder farmers. I think that is why the smallholder farmers are my target. Farmers have over-depended on chemical fertilizers for long, and this is according to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture itself, 2019. Imports of NPK fertilizers has increased from around 14,000 metric tons to around 224 metric tons in 18 years. And this goes to confirm that there is over-dependence on chemical fertilizers in Ghana. And if nothing is done about it, if there is a problem, there is going to be food insecurity in the country. Smallholder farmers have cut down on their food production due to high cost of imported chemical fertilizer. This was carried by the Ghana News Agency. The Ghana News Agency in Ghana, they look at the problems that exist and they try to find out the reasons for it. So in January, February this year, when food prices began to go up, they went around the food production areas to ask farmers what was the reason. And the farmers said because fertilizer prices were up, some of them didn't crop at all, and some of them cut down on their acreages. And if we continue this way, it is not going to be good for the country. That is why I think I should introduce composting these smallholder farmers. Also, in 2021, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture said that farmers have reduced their land holding sizes because of increased prices in fertilizers. So there is a problem. The problem statement is the overdependence of chemical fertilizers is gradually pulling smallholder farmers out of business. Yes, this is true because what Ghana News Agency found out was that most farmers have stopped planting because they just can't buy fertilizer, and that is not good for us. I have one main aim to encourage smallholder farmers to use compost as an alternative to chemical fertilizers. I have two main objectives. One is to create awareness on the benefits of compost through organized groups of smallholder farmers. But if you ask the farmer in Ghana, what is your problem? What is the issue you have with chemical fertilizers? They are going to talk about the fact that it is not readily available when they need it, and they are also going to talk about the high cost. They are not going to talk about the problems that chemical fertilizers have on the soils, but I am going to dwell on what they know is unavailability and is high cost, and to tell them that look, you can use compost to do the same work that this chemical fertilizer is doing. And so you don't need to fold up, you don't need to cut down on your already small acreages, but let's use compost to solve the problem. And I'm also going to take them through the other benefits of compost, as it improves the health of the soil and improves the water holding capacity and improves the filtration of water and all the other benefits that compost comes with. I'm going to take them through that. To demonstrate, I'm also going to demonstrate step by step how to make compost to these farmers. But I'm going to do this by organizing farmers in 10 communities, and each community will have an NGO, which we call farmers-based organizations, and the NGO will be around 15 members. Then I'll go around and educate these NGOs on the advantages of compost, as I have said earlier. Then I'll train them on the process of making compost. I will then set up a demonstration field in each of these communities, and I would like to use farmers who will not apply fertilizer at all because they can't buy. Those who are not able to buy the chemical fertilizers, I will use them, and we will use our compost. We'll find a field, we'll plant our crops and apply, use manure, and the other one will not apply fertilizer at all. The outcome will tell the farmer that look, if you use compost, you are going to get even more than the chemical fertilizer. So you don't need to fold up, or you don't need to say, I won't apply fertilizer at all. You can use compost to do the same work that chemical fertilizers would have done. There will be a monitoring aspect of the program, and I'll visit the fields, the demonstration fields with group leaders to see how the crops are faring. At the end of the day, the crop will be measured when we have harvested. We'll harvest from the fields that we didn't apply fertilizers, and we'll harvest from where we apply the compost. And I believe that the farmers will know that compost is really good. Conclusion, this project will not only keep the farmer in business, because some of them are leaving, according to Ghana News Agency, some of them are leaving to the cities to look for jobs because they can't buy fertilizer. Now, it is going to keep them in business. They will not travel to the cities. So the project is not aimed at rejecting compost manures over chemical fertilizers, but it is my belief that at the end of the day, over a number of repeated examples, the farmers will get to know that compost really helps to maintain the health of their soil. Since composting is not a difficult task to carry, I believe that it will be a more sustainable way of augmenting soil nutrients. However, this project is not oblivious of the challenges that exist. I know that in Ghana, there is about 30% acceptance to new technology. So I have embraced myself for that. And if I get even 20%, I'm going to work with them, and the outcome, year after year, will prove itself. I have a few references here. Isaac Newton in 1676 said, if I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. On this note, I want to thank Marshal Papworth and Harper Adams, making me stand on their shoulders to see further. You see at the beginning, this is a compost picture that I took at Harper Adams here. I spoke to the people who do composting here very well, and they took me through the process. Thank you very much.
That's very interesting. I particularly like the fact that you said that 20% would be a good result. So that's realistic. Then you said to get that. You cannot get 50%.
No.
So what is the problem with getting people to engage in this sort of thing?
Yes, you get them to talk to them, but the practice is where the problem is. They just think that compost is too bulky, and so compared with chemical fertilizers. In Ghana, the Ministry of Agriculture recommends 2 bags of NPK to 1 acre of land. And it is easier to carry the NPK to the farm than to carry about 5 tons of compost. But I think I will surmount that.
Any other questions?
Well done on sort of picking up on the real issue, I think, for the whole world at the moment. But my question is, have you looked at livestock play in terms of as well as composting, or is this just sort of composting from waste from households and vegetables?
Thank you very much. It is one area that I have considered. There are a number of big poultry farmers in the central region who usually have problems even disposing the meat. So I'm going to teach these farmers alone and collect those things, and it will be a plus for the poultry farmer. He will be more than happy for people to come and collect it. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just what I'd like to also add is that I remember you coming 8 weeks ago and struggling on the computers and things, and you did not know it. And that leads us nicely on to Vincent from Ripple Effect, formerly Extended Account.
Thank you for this hearing. But I'm absolutely thanks, James.
He's just highlighting the fact that he's only started in this. Thanks, Dave. If you're great for us saying it. Brilliant. Here we go.
Good morning. So I'm Vincent Baraza from Kenya, for Ripple Effect, and I'm here to present to you a project that I'm going to work on. Back home. I'm going to work on climate smart grain amaranth for food, chicken, and fish security in Busia. Why am I talking about the amaranth? We've had a lot of problems in Kenya, and right now we are really facing a lot of problems when it comes to farming due to various reasons. One, our soils are very acidic. We are also experiencing high cost of certified seeds. The climatic changes is really a big issue in Kenya, and the prices of fertilizer is really high that cereal farmers cannot afford. When it comes to pests and diseases, I don't know where they were now released. It's now a very big issue. Like maize lethal prognosis disease is really affecting these farmers, and therefore we are really experiencing a lot of crop failures. Currently, Kenya is experiencing severe famine and drought that happened 40 years back, according to CBM global report. personally, I've not experienced what you are experiencing now in Kenya. And about 3.4 million people, most of whom are in extreme poverty and food insecure. And 337,000 children under 5 years suffer from malnutrition, of which 25% of the Kenyans suffer from stunted growth due to poor nutrition. That is according to World Food Program 2022, the current report. So, why should we now go to amaranth? It is because amaranth is can be used as an alternative food source that can really improve us both economically and nutritionally. So amaranth, one thing is that it is the drought tolerant, highly nutritious, super cereal capable of supplying most nutrients. The minerals like calcium and others, and vitamins we can get from the amaranth grain. It is also one thing that when we use it very well, it has the potential to create jobs for the youth and women through commercialization of the amaranth value chains. This amaranth can be consumed in very many ways. My main aim to this project is to close the food and nutrition insecurity gap through production of highly nutritious grain amaranth. Yeah. And the objective, I have two objectives. One is to promote the cultivation and consumption of grain amaranth. And the second one is commercialization of the amaranth value chain for economic development of the farmers. How am I going to achieve this? One, I'm going to conduct on-farm trials, demonstrations, and field days to 12 farmer groups. I want immediately I leave this place by August. I want to start doing the demonstrations, and I'm going to really take that idea of soil conservation, whereby I want to practice on zero tillage, whereby amaranth is a very small seed. So when you make a drill, it can be good when you use that method. And also, amaranth germinates very fast. It is always the first weed to germinate on the onset of rains. So with minimal moisture, it will germinate. So I'm also going to promote access and use of high-yielding certified seeds. That is Katumani 114 and Katumani 001 seeds. These seeds are high-yielding and can produce more grain. I'm also going to organize farmers into common interest groups, educate them on the importance of collective marketing and development of food aggregation centers. As you train the farmer on the importance of marketing the products, that idea will be driven from himself, and therefore it can be easily sustainable than when you tell them to do it. So I'm just going to train them and let that idea now be propelled by the farmer himself. I'm also going to train farmers on value addition of the amaranth. The data that will help me will be very important for this project is that I'm going to collect participants attending the training. I want to know the numbers. I need to know the attendance at the field day activities, beneficiaries in amaranth value chain enterprises, those that will be interested and will start to be involved in that business. I'll train them on business records, so I need to see the records. Since farming is not just a hobby, but now I want to take it to higher level, that you just land here. All farms that we've gone around, you've seen they have markets, and therefore you cannot have a market without a business, so a business record. So we want to follow it up and see that they're now in business. This project will take 24 months from August 2022. Amaranth, as I've said, it takes little moisture, and therefore you can use irrigation and be productive throughout the year. Why am I saying amaranth can save us? One is the nutritional content. Two, amaranth has a potential of producing 500 kilograms and above per acre. That research was done by Calro in 2005. So amaranth production can produce 500 kilograms per acre. Amaranth price currently, I checked online, I found that here in the UK, amaranth per kilogram is 4.27 kilograms. And in Kenya, the current market is 150 shillings to 200 Kenyan shillings per kilogram. When you do your mathematics, you'll find that possible revenue per acre is 2,135 pounds. That one is enough to move somebody from poverty to a good life. So when you mix that plus the good nutrition, I believe it can be a good solution for African continent. And also, amaranth, now that we are prone to taking ration foods to the starved Africans or the starved children with malnutrition, amaranth products are the best because they are 90% digestible. So they can be absorbed in the body and can really change our bodies very fast. Amaranth is the way to go. Amaranth is very good and nutritious. Thank you. As you enjoy the amaranth meals, amaranth can be taken as soups. Amaranth you can use as pop. You can pop it and use it as a snack, and you can use different flavors and you can enjoy it very well. Thank you.
Any questions for Vincent as well?
Yes.
Thank you, Vincent. I have to say, I've never heard of you. It's a new crop to me.
Yeah.
How popular is it in Kenya? Much experience farmers?
Yeah.
Are there much? Is there much amaranth grown by farmers currently, or will it have to by a new technique?
Yeah, amaranth, not only in Kenya, but amaranth all over the world, mostly in Africa, is the first weed to grow once the rain starts. But most Africans take it as a weed and they don't know the nutritive value of amaranth, and therefore they believe it is meant for poor people. So from the first slide, yeah, from the first picture there, that's me. I was doing some trial at the field day at Sia County Agricultural Farmers School, and I did that and several value addition, and it fetched good money. When we educate our farmers that it can change and is better, it can bring more income than any other cereal, I think it is a good solution. Yeah. The most important thing is to change the attitude of the farmer. Yeah.
Is the grain that you mentioned earlier available, or will that have to be provided to them?
The seeds, the seeds can be obtained locally, but for this project, I want to ensure that they get certified seeds, the quality seeds, and those ones which are high yielding. That's why there was a research that was done by Cadro in Kenya, and they proved that Katumani 114 and Katumani 001 are the best species for the grain. So those are the ones that I want to promote.
I think there will be resistance to the idea of planting wheat, that if people accept.
That's why we want to use the education.
Yeah.
And once you test the commercial importance of amaranth, I know everybody will go for it. It fetches 10 times cash on amaranth than any other cereal. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Rich. That's really interesting. Thank you. Okay, and so now we go to Samson, who's going to be talking about himself. Samson from ADRA. First time we've had people from ADRA on the program.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Samson Kudia from ADRA. I'm here to present this proposal to you. When I go home, I'll be working on it. Comments are welcome. I am doing evaluation and promotion of storage back technologies for the protection of maize in Ghana. I have this presentation outline to show. I'll just give some background of my proposal, aims and objectives, project area and duration, and methodology, data collection, analysis, conclusion, and some references. I'm interested in this picture. I took it at the Harper University here with Professor Simon Edward at the pathology lab. I am interested because I got to know the effects of aflatoxins in the maize that we consume in Ghana. That one actually gave me the insight to go further on the storage facilities. World population is projected to reach 9.6 billion by 2050. Most of this could be expected in developing countries, of which Ghana is included. So by knowing this, I got to know that it's important for us to take a critical look of storage facilities. Maize is a staple food in Africa and contributes substantially to food and security for smallholder farmers. This one was ratified by the Board of Harvest in 2014. So the main staple food we have in Africa is maize. So we have to take very good care of this. In Ghana, maize contributes to diets of consumers is very enormous. It's about 70% according to data 2010 reports. So all these things suggest that after producing the maize, we have to take very good care of it. I think very soon my brother James came and talked of fertilizers, the compost. Yes, I think the main idea was like the synthetic ones are very expensive, so they should go for the compost. You know how bulky compost and other stuff. You mentioned this here. These farmers will produce, and because of post-harvest issue, they will lose about 50–60% of them. So there's a need to take a critical look of it. About 60% loss in maize was recorded in Ghana by using PP bags and juicers. The main ways of storing maize in Ghana is by using the PP bags and the juicers. And according to the research, about 60% of the maize go waste, like I said. After passing through all the tedious work of producing the maize and just throw 50% away, then we have to be very much concerned about the post-harvest handling, not only production. Aluminium phosphide fulminant, which is something called the phosphosins. Most families use the phosphosins to store the maize. And that one too is not good because when it reacts with moisture, it releases a lot of gases in the atmosphere which can cause pollution. So we have to tell farmers they should shift from that way and do the proper means of storage. Grain storage in hermetic bags can be an appropriate and cost-effective method among other farmers, according to that work in 2016. So this research suggests that the hermetic bags can be an appropriate method. Like I said, this is a project or as a proposal I'm going to carry it out. So after the proposal or after the project, if everything goes on well, then we can be in the same mind with what that work and which I say that hermetic bags can be an appropriate use for storing grain. My proposal aims to reduce the target source of meat in Ghana through adoption of effective storage technologies. And specifically, I am going to evaluate the effectiveness of hermetic storage bags techniques against the perception of storage grain insects like causes and some rodents. These are the main insects that normally attack our grains at the storage areas. That is the insect pest, which is basically the weevils, the larger grain weevils, cousins and some rodents. And if we succeed, then we then promote the use of hermetic bags through community sensitization or education. So this is the whole plan. Project area evaluation. The project will be done in the municipality in the Ashanti region of Ghana. I selected this area because there's a lot of post-harvest loss in this area. They produce a lot of maize. Their main aim is for the production. They don't consider the post-harvest issue. So when they produce, they just push it to the market at a go because they don't stop. So it fluctuates the market, all come to the market at a go, and they turn up getting bad prices for their produce. And some aflatoxin infestation too is very high. It is not good for their health. So I selected this area. The project will take 6 months. The project will take 18 months in 6 months to get about 3 different seasons. What I'm going to do is I'll do this in 3 different seasons, and I'll store it in 6 months period. So in all, it will be 18 months. This first season, we store it in the hermetic bags, we put it down. At the end of the day, we open compared to what the farmers have been using. That they themselves will assess some parameters on it to prove to themselves that the hermetic bag is effective. So this is the methodology. When you look at the picture, this farmer is tying the hermetic bags. And before I continue, the hermetic bags is being introduced in some parts of Ghana. There are some areas they don't know the hermetic bags at all. Or even if you tell them, they think about the price. But research has proven that though the initial cost is quite higher as compared to the normal PP bags and the 2 sacks they use, but to look at it from the long-term plan, when you buy it, it is reusable. Secondly, because the quality of the grain remains intact, you sell it with premium. So when you go to the northern part of Ghana, where hermetic bags is available and they are using, when businessmen they come to buy maize, they always go there because of the maize quality. So those are the southern parts, their maize just remain there and they don't even get some buyers because it's infested with aflatoxins and all that. So by comparing the prices in a long term, you realize that you are making huge money as compared to buying the cheaper ones at a go. So what I'll do is I'll select 10 FBOs, farmer-based organizations, 2 aggregators and 1 poultry farmer. The reason why I'm adding these aggregators and poultry farmers is the aggregators, they normally get the produce from the farmers. So if something is going on, they need to know what is happening. So that when they are buying from the farmers and the farmers challenge them with premium, they wouldn't argue because they know what the farmers are going through. And I'm adding the poultry farmers because some poultry farmers are aggregated themselves, or they also link the aggregators. So I want to basically include the various or the active actors in the maize farm chain so that they all come in to see what is happening. I'll organize training and demonstration on the hermetic bag uses. So this first picture, like I said, we have a way of handling this. You know, the word hermetic means you have to make sure that it's airtight. It doesn't allow oxygen to get through. So if you don't train them as in how to use it, they may use it, but the results will be all that effective. So we make sure that the maize is dried up to the moisture content of less than 13%. Then we weigh the maize in 50 kilo bags to use the hermetic bags and the ED bags and out of the juicer. So we select we have the hermetic, then we select the juicers and out of the PP bags. That is what the farmers are using because of the price. So we just tie everything, we put it there on pallets, we wait for 6 months, then we come and do what we call open bag ceremony. I think that one is explained in the next slide. So airtight hermetic bag put away some pallets in the refrigerator for 6 months. So full day will be organized for open bag ceremony. After 6 months, we just call all the active value chain actors, which include the LBO members, the aggregators, and the poultry farmers. We will all come, then open their bags. They themselves will see what is happening, what is in there. I'll also promote the bags after they are successful. So this is the data, how the data will be analyzed. Data will be analyzed using full mix in version 9.4, using the following parameters. I chose this because I want to assess the impacts on each bag. That's why I want to use the full mix insights. These are the things I am going to look at after the open bag ceremony. One, quality of maize in each bag. So they themselves will see. You are saying hermetic is expensive, but let us look at the quality. Level of weevils. So they themselves will see the level of weevil infestation in the Jew sac, the PP bags, and the hermetic bags. Moisture content too will be taken. In the previous slide, I said that you have to measure the moisture content, which should be less than 13%. After everything, you still carry on the same thing for them to know what we are talking about. Then rodents and aflatoxin infestation. That's why I said when I met Professor Simon, he told us how to test for the aflatoxin. Weight loss, weight defense, and maize value. These are the things that we are going to do. In conclusion, the project will encourage farmers to use hermetic bag as a means of storage to reduce post-harvest loss and immediate sales after harvest. And also, it will reduce the incidence of chemical residue as a result of storage using chemicals. So this farmer, when it is introduced, he's very happy when he's in the farm harvesting and practicing the hermetic bags, and along the day, purchase that sort of money. These are some references. Thank you very much, Marshal Papworth Adams University.
Any questions for Samson particularly?
Just no, Samson, thank you very much. The impact of rodents, all up the different types of sack. Will they magically seem back to prevent rodents?
Yeah.
I understand the stop, so rodents stop the insects,
Yeah.
but can you protect?
Yeah, thank you very much. With the hermetics, I'll not go for one hermetic. We have the pit bags, we have the zero flag hermetics. The thing is made up of delta-nutrient incorporated sac. And that one, I think it's able to do away with hermetics. So we're using different types of hermetics against the BP bags and the juice sac we're using. So the delta-nutrient incorporated hermetic bags, our research has proven that that one can do with rodent infestation.
Thanks very much, Sam. That's really useful. Oh, sorry, Tom.
Samson, just a note, noticed you in terms of the harvest of the maize, which is 13%. How do you sort of make sure that maize is at 13%? Because you put it anywhere, probably only storage, you're going to have problems. I'm just interested to know how you make sure that.
All right, that's fine. I think formally, farmers, when they want to assess the level of moisture in maize, you use the traditional method. Some of them give bites, some of them put their hand in it. When it goes through, then it is dry. But this one, we'll be using moisture meter. There's a moisture meter that we'll be using to give it a very precise value on the moisture before and after, so that they will see that the differences will not be all that significant as compared to the normal juice and liquids that we use.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we'll be moving on to Evelyn. Colleague of
Good morning, everyone. I'm Evelyn Mamani from Kenya, and my area of interest when back in Kenya is to empower small-scale farmers through maize chain value in Western Kenya. So we have many pictures here, and my major target, I will be targeting more women because in Kenya, women actually participate highly in terms of workforce. So this is the weeding. Women are doing the weeding, and you can realize if you can clearly see, we only have these are plain maize. So I want to encourage farmers actually to have this crop rotation and to use more cover crops just to promote soil nutrients. This is the kind of maize that we expect, or I expect my farmers to get or to produce. And this is the local drying system of maize. So the farmers majorly use the canvas just to dry their maize. Okay, so basically Western Kenya is recognized for maize production as a staple food in Kenya. However, lack of information about market prices and cost-effective means of transporting maize individually, it is really a challenge. So these farmers predominantly sell small amount of maize in their villages to traders, especially during harvest, immediately after harvesting time. The prices are actually quite low, sorry. The prices are actually quite low, and you realize that these farmers suffer a lot just because of the middlemen. They harass or they confuse these farmers just to grab their maize or on a lower price. So another thing, smallholder farmers in this region, and particularly in Bungoma County where I come from, they are the pillars of food security, and yet most of them are poor, unable to afford basic farm inputs and access to financial aid and credit. So when you come to Bungoma County, this county majorly depends on agriculture for its livelihood. But when you look at the percentage, Bungoma, basically we have a total of population density around 1.5 million of people in this county. So 70% of these farmers suffer from food insecurity. So that is about Kariuki 2019. So what I'm going to do, I will enable these small-scale farmers to increase their income capacity through and food security through maize value chain in Bungoma. So my specific objectives, or what I will be doing, is to organize farmers in groups and identify community centers for training on basic agronomic practices and income generation in maize value chain. So this has been so critical in my region because poor access of knowledge, it has really deteriorated most of the small-scale farmers not to access to knowledge and also access to financial aids. Secondly, I will ensure to capacity build on the integrated agronomic practices, that is land right away from land preparation, planting, how we manage the maize, intercropping, up to the harvesting and direct the storage. So this will actually help them to increase the maize value chain and promote crop rotation diversification of other crops such as leguminous crops to promote soil nutrients and post-harvest management. So how I'll be doing, the project will work particularly in two regions in Bungoma, that is Kimaeti and Marathon regions in Bungoma County for 2-year window period. And with a target of 6 groups in each region, in each region and 10 members in each group. So, as I said from my the introduction, I'll be targeting 70% of farmers will be women, just simply because of the workforce. And another thing is I will establish demonstration plots for learning purposes in community centers, just to allow farmer groups to access fertilizer. So here, through the demonstration, through demo plots, people will be able to access the varieties of maize. And having the high quality maize varieties is also another challenge to our farmers. So I will enable to ensure that through these demo plots, because I will be able to link them to the maize seed suppliers, agro dealers, so that they have a customer relationship, so that in the near future they can be able to access the farm inputs in a better way. Another thing is we create clusters of 2 in each region and form a management committee that will link members in their weekly meetings. So I will have weekly meetings and then trainings and also submission of weekly reports. And then finally, on the methods, I will also organize community aggregation centers, or rather aggregation center. For now, I'll start with one, and for storage, where the management committee will only handle grain. So this is where the challenge comes. So most of our farmers during harvest time, they sell maize at a throwing price. So instead of waiting for another period when their prices are high, just because of financial constraints in this region, they are forced to sell their maize as early, so at a throwing price. So I want to encourage them to store maize in the local communities, in this aggregation center, just for the purposely for future marketing price and for sustainability, for income generation. So another thing, I will create a model will be there just to calculate the costs and also share benefits and losses. Remember, this is a community initiative. So we'll ensure that all these will be in place to ensure that farmers benefit. So this is our structure, the regions and the aggregation center. The analysis results will be quantified by number of 90 bags of grains produced and stored by farmers in a year. And then moisture content is also another aspect. Cropping management, as I said, will be managed right from planting. Data collection from farmers, their experience, especially technical trainings. A farmer will make a profit of 25 pounds. So this is just a quick cross margin on how the farmer will make a profit. So you find that this is the farm input. Farmer will require 125 and then have just taken the average of 9 to 10 bags. But during harvesting time, the farmer will sell at this much. But from December to June, the price goes high. So, conclusion, the initiative will help to stabilize the prices of maize in the local areas and promote variation in value chain. Farmers will have enough time to organize markets and may provide better prices. Moreover, tests will be accomplished to ensure quality grain during cereal bagging, just to control the risks and post-harvest losses. And then finally, farmers will gain knowledge and skills through technical trainings and exchange visits. So thank you.
Very clear. I was just wondering, how big are the farms? How much maize do people grow? How much area do they have?
Okay, basing on this, I would rather use this one. This is an example of per acre. We normally use acres, not hectares, because these are small scale farmers. So in an acre, the farmer will require 50 kg of planting fertilizer, 50 kilograms of top dressing, and 10 kilograms of maize seed. So which is equivalent to that?
Very much. Any other questions?
How would you, if you've got farmer groups,
Yes.
how will you make sure that farmers are able to produce a similar amount? Because what happens if
Okay.
various reasons are unable to?
Thank you. Through common interest groups, I'll be able to do observation in the field to ensure that these farmers are doing the right thing at the same time. We will have a schedule on when to start planting, and then that will actually, the guide will actually help.
And then will you guarantee the price to them?
Okay. Okay, thank you. So, based on the price, I won't guarantee because it is unpredictable. But probably it won't drop as much. We are expecting even the prices to be more higher than the current price.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you very much. So we have two more presentations. Next will be Abdul, also from Agri previously. Abdul, we're very pleased to have you here. Abdul came late. He was very keen to come on the programme, got to the airport, and you were told that the plane wasn't going, and he did not know when it would go. So he had to go back the next day, and the plane came. So not only did it come a week late, it's a week and 1 day, and you took it with very good humour, I think, at the time. So it was quite something, wasn't it, Abdul?
In fact, the day I got to the airport and my flight was cancelled, it was really stressful. We were traveling 12 hours from my hometown, the capital city, only to be told that cancel my flight. And I was forced to sit by the airport. But all glory be to Allah, I was able to make it to this week.
Thank you. About further ado, to you, Abdul.
Good morning. My name is Alasan Abdul Rahman. I work with ADRA Ghana. And I'm here to share with you a proposal that I'm working on when I get back to Ghana. I will looking at uniform production as fertility livelihoods, smallholder farmers in Anton district in northern Ghana. Why did I choose this topic? When I got to Harper here, the lecturers took us through a lot of stuff. And one interest area was climate change. Climate change affects crop production. So in order not to take the farmers out of business, they could venture into guinea fowl production, which will serve as alternative livelihood for them. This is my presentation outline: background, aim of objectives, methodology, project vision, and conclusion. The background: guinea fowl production is an age-old trend in northern Ghana. It's usually practiced by smallholder farmers. They constitute the majority of the people who go into guinea fowl production. And then traditionally, guinea fowls are rare for sociocultural purposes such as marriages, gifts, funerals, sacrifices, and sometimes they rare guinea fowl for emergency financial needs. As a young guy, when you are of age and you are coming to marry, you present guinea fowls to your in-laws to indicate that their daughter is a special human being to you. Guinea fowl is considered as a ceremonial bird. In that steady area, they value guinea fowl a lot. Because of the importance they attach to it, a whole month they take it and celebrate the guinea fowl to showcase the importance of guinea fowl. And this year, the celebration will be in December. And Harper and Marshal Papworth were invited to be part of this year's celebration. And then the special gifts. When you receive a special guest, you show that you appreciate the person's visit and you value the person. Present a guinea fowl. The meat of a guinea fowl is a delicacy. It's a lean meat compared to a broiler bird. And anybody who travels from southern Ghana to the northern territory and goes back, the only thing that you can use to prove to your people that you visited northern region, unless you present a guinea fowl meat. The first thing that they will ask you whether you enjoy guinea fowl meat when you visited northern region. And this was carried by Tay and Adam 2000. Majority of the smallholder farmers, they are illiterate. And this was contained in the Food Survey 2013. And farmers, they don't take the guinea fowl production as a business. They just consider it as a way of life. So I will emphasize on this to encourage them to take it as a business. And because they don't take it as a business, they always practice the more traditional way of rearing the guinea fowl, which has a lot of challenges, such as heat mortality rate is high, poor hatchability of the eggs, housing management, disease prevention, nutrition, feeding as one of the major challenges. I have this as my aim to promote guinea fowl production as alternative livelihood for smallholder farmer households. And I have two specific objectives. One, to train farmers on modern techniques, including materials and using local materials, such as motorbike boxes for brooding. When you go to Nanton district, the major means of transportation is motorbike. And when they go buy the motorbikes, the empty boxes are left with the motorbike sellers, and they find it difficult to dispose of the motor boxes. And some people don't have spaces to put up brooder houses. So I'll encourage them to use the motorbike boxes. Where they don't have space to put up a brooder house, you can use the motorbike box as your brooder box so that you'll be able to take care of the case. And then my second objective is to reduce mortality in guinea case. The younger ones are called kids. We are going to carry out the project. The project will work with 10 guinea fowl farmer groups, at least 10 to 15 members in each group. And our partner with the Department of Agriculture, specifically the Veterinary Services Department, to educate farmers on medication. Well, when it comes to health, we need specialists to handle that aspect. So that's the reason why I want to partner with the Veterinary Services Department. And survey have also shown that when you look at the guinea fowl production, the high mortality rate in case, about 95.5% is through diseases. So if I partner with Ministry of Food and Agriculture, the Veterinary Services Department, they'll be able to advise the farmers that will reduce the mortality rate. Now, I also organize training on brooding techniques. Few who have brooder houses, they have challenges using the brooder houses. That is the bedding material. Most of them go in for sawdust as their bedding material. And when they go in for the sawdust as their bedding materials, the kids mistakenly peck and swallow the sawdust, taking like its feet. And that one can cause gastrointestinal compacts. And at the end of the day, the kids will die. So I will let them rather use rice husk. When they use the rice husk, when they are scratching, the broken rice inside the husk will also serve as a balanced diet for them. Then cleaning of drinkers and feeders, which is very key in guinea fowl production. When they wake up in the morning, they should clean the feeders and the drinking tanks. Temperature. When the temperature is so high, the kids become dehydrated. They tend to drink more water and less feed. And this, they will starve and eventually die. And when the temperature is also high, it also causes vent compact. The vents will be closed and they will not be able to pass on waste from their system. That will also kill the case. And when the temperature is also so low, the case become too cold and they become prone to diseases. It affects the immune system of the disease, which makes it prone to diseases. And also, when the place is too cold, you see them huddled together. And when they huddle, those at the bottom will suffocate and die. So I'll take them through how to manage that. And then biosecurity, when you are visiting the brooder house, you should construct some form of biosecurity so that you infect yourself before entering the brooder house. I also organized a demonstration on how to use motorbike boxes for brooding on farmers' farm. Project duration. It will last for 2 years. And I will carry out the demonstration and the brooding twice in the year. In the other region, we have one rainy season, cropping season. And then that's the period that we have rain. The temperatures will be low. Then October, November, December, the temperature will be high. So during the rainy season, when the temperatures are low, I'll be with them to guide them how to do the brooding within that period. If you leave them like that, during the dry season, when the temperatures are high, they'll tend to use that same method that you taught them during the rainy season. And that will affect the kids, because that time the temperature will be high. And then the brooding will take 42 days. That is from day old to 42. By then they'll be fully fed and they'll be able to provide heat for themselves. Eggs will be collected from smallholder farmers within the steady area for hatching. And then breeding stock will also be obtained from animal breeding and production units in Pond Samari. It's a veterinary college and they have a breeding stock there. So our breeding stock can be obtained from that place to avoid inbreeding. This is the project timeline. In January, I'll start identify the farmers that I will be working with. February, March, then I will start training them on how to carry out the demonstration and then the brooding. April, May, June, that's the egg pick laying period. Then we'll go in for the brooding. Then at the same time, I will do the demonstration. Those who have the brooder house will go and then pick a few cases inside the motorbike box. Then on that same farmer's farm, then we'll carry out that one. Then October, November, and December, that will be the second brooding period. So there are some potential challenges. The veterinary officers are few. Not that they are not being trained. The government is able to absorb all of the veterinary officers. In conclusion, the project will encourage farmers to do proper protection to reduce its mortality. And at the end of the day, this is what the farmer will make per annum. And it will go a long way to reduce household poverty. Then the smallholder family. Thank you very much, Marshal Papworth, for the opportunity. And thank you, Harper Adams, for your
I didn't know guinea cow babies were called pigs, so that was interesting. And your timeline was very, very good, so I think we commend on that. Has anyone got any other questions apart from praise for everyone in the presentation? Oh,
Yeah, well, firstly, I've been lucky enough to be given some gift when I was in Ghana, so I'm given the right, my question was just on your challenges about the veterinary. Have you thought about how you can get over that challenge in terms of distributing information or materials to more?
The veterinary services, I will collaborate with Ministry of Food and Agri. And then there are a few that I'm doing with, they are not engaged with the government sector, they're just doing it on their own. I will engage them to visit the project area just to educate the farmers on how to do vaccinations and other treatments.
Mentioned the saving your eggs from local farmers.
The best will be from the breeding center. And I will also encourage the farmers to also do some of the parent stuff. Also, they tend to add to those that they were getting from the breeding center. Other smallholder farmers.
Thank you very much. So now we have our ultimate presentation, and this is from Jules, Malawi. He works in South Africa. So, over to you, Jules.
I'm George Mbale from Malawi. I work with South Africa. So my project proposal will do much on the adoption of maize seed planting technology in northern Malawi. So the outline, I will do much on the research background, research questions, objectives, methodology, as well as a conclusion. So Malawi, as a country, depends much on agriculture. So the country has a population of 20 million currently, and that agriculture contributes to about 39% of the GDP and 83% of the foreign income. So climate change is contributing to higher level of poverty, and the adoption of sustainable agriculture technologies can lessen the impact of climate change. And the adoption of maize feed technology very low in Malawi, and this is also attributed to lack of information or knowledge on the use of peat planting. So on just a snapshot on the peats. When we came here, I never knew that we have the same concept of the peat, but here they use harrowing. They do harrowing instead of plowing the land. They use harrowing. So in Malawi, smallholder farmers cannot manage to have a harrow. So instead, they construct pits so that they should not disturb the soil much. The same as UK, the harrowers are used not to disturb the soil much, only where you are going to plant. So this is the same on pits. So we just construct the pit where we are going to plant our maize. So this pit is about 30 by 30 meters, 20 deep, and 4 plants. We plant 4 the pit. So inside the pit we use manure, that's one shelter. We may also include some little basil fertilizer, just little. So pits are capable of increasing yield with greater than 45%. So my project will do much on the, will try to answer the following research questions. What are the factors that affect peat adoption technology? The second one, can peat planting demonstrations help to increase smallholder exposure or adoption to maize peat planting? So the last one is, what are some of the ways which can help to increase peat planting technology? So the main objective of the research project is to increase the adoption of maize peat planting, which in the long run might increase the productivity. Specifically, the project will look into assessing the factors that prevent or make farmers not to adopt the peat planting technology. Secondly, the project would try to increase smallholder farmer exposure to peat planting through mounting of demonstrations. And lastly, recommend ways of increasing the adoption of peat planting. So in the methodology, the targeted population is 160 farmer field schools, but the project will only sample 10% of the 160. So we work with 16 groups. So we'll have 16 demonstrations. We'll also conduct 16 focus group discussions, as well as 32 key informants. So these are the sample of the population that we're going to work with. So the study will be carried in one of the districts, which is in the northern Malawi. So this is one of the districts, which is a food basket to the country, but currently is facing some problems, some challenges in terms of climate change. So in selecting the sample, we use the systematic sampling system to avoid bias, and also the project will use both qualitative and quantitative data collection approaches. So on the 16 demonstrations that we are going to do, the layout will just have two main treatments, that's T1 and T2, and we have to replicate those treatments. So it means every demonstration will have 4 plots, but with 2 treatments and replicates, making 4, as you can see the other part. So we'll try to intensify on the field days, and also we'll take some data on the youth, as well as adoption records. So the instrument that we use will very much using the questionnaire, the FDGs, the view of related documents, as well as data from the demonstrations. So as you can see that this research is in 2 folds. One will do the qualitative one, like developing a questionnaire to find out why farmers are not adopting these technologies. And the other one would be on demonstration, because some researchers are saying it might be that farmers are not adopting the technology because they lack knowledge and skills. So the second objective will answer on that one. So data analysis, we're going to use the Microsoft Excel to analyze the data. On conclusion, I'm confident that the demonstrations will increase the knowledge of farmers, thereby increasing the adoption rate. And the overall research outcome might also give some knowledge, some skills to implementers like non-governmental organizations, even the government, on how best to tackle these peat planting technologies. So, thank you, that's all my
So that's the last talk of now the afternoon, actually. So it's been very extensive. So obviously, thanks George and to everyone else who have given their presentations this morning. Has anyone got any questions for George at all? Tom? Stalwart.
Very much for the presentation, George. You said on one of the slides that the peat planting has the potential to increase yields by up to 4%. Why, in your opinion, is that the case? Is it because you can get a higher density of plants? Is it manage the
there are 2 things. One, even if you receive rainfall, sometimes we can go currently, not previously, currently due to climate change, we can go for 3 weeks without any rainfall. So if we are using these pits, which means the maize plant, because we use manure inside the pit, which holds moisture for a long period. So the maize in pits keeps on growing, while those on ridges, they keep stunting. So that's the first reason. The second one, when we are growing maize, the system that we grow on ridges, most farmers do not put manure. So when we put manure in the pits, which means we have increased the soil fertility. So which means that's the 2 things which contribute to the higher yield. Yeah, so this project will just take it will be for 3 years. Because not only one season when we can say no, is the adoption, no, but it will be conducted for 3 years, 3 seasons.
How
Would you be able to use the same piece in the 1, 2, and 3?
Yes, we're going to use the same pits, and it's also advantageous to the farmer because when you use ridges, every year you have to plow. to make ridges every year. But for the pits, of course, it's hard labor first year when you are constructing pits. But you can use the same pits for maybe 3 to 4 harvests without constructing again.
Brilliant, that's really good. It's now past 12. This is really the time that we have presentations. But just so you can sort of relax and refresh, we've got some drinks outside, and we'll meet back here at 12:30. That'd be brilliant. So as I think before we conclude for today, just to thank all 7 for their excellent presentations. I've been very impressed with the level of professionalism, the quality of their slides, and the knowledge. So as I say, it's really good to see that the skills they brought with Africa have been honed while they've been here, and hopefully it's been something that we can be proud of. So thank you much, everybody. Thank you. Like I say, come back here for past. Professor Sloan will be here in about 10 minutes' time, so at least you can make an introduction before we actually have our formal ceremony. So there's tea and coffee outside, and also thank you, Robert, for my attire. This is a lot more comfy than my shirt. There's a reason why you wear this, yeah? There's a reason. There's a reason. Brilliant. I think I look like an albino, yeah? The albino African. My nose, yeah? Albino African. Albino. Did I have to say nose? Say nose,
You look nice, man.
I did not see you. I'm glad you did it. You are. I didn't put you up. Now it's nice. Why? I'm surprised at how heavy it is. It's heavy.
And some farmers are using a lot of mulch. They're bringing the mulch and grass and whatever they are using to keep the moist vegetation. Yes. Yes. Yeah, in the Sahel region, in Burkina Faso, I think they call it where there's some coffee guys and tea. Hey, you can take a photo. Yeah, I didn't bring mine. Yeah, I should be wearing mine. You should do. You look smart to me.
It's good, isn't it? It's nice.
You want me to take a picture?
No, I'm going to try and get a video done, but I'm not sure how well that's working. So it's just to make sure we have a video when we do it. If I do the...
I'll run to the toilet.
Okay, we've got time.
Yeah. Oh, how are you doing, Mr. Big way of Kenya? I should be just... Soon. After. I don't like the way I'm
That's better. Wait, sorry, yeah. Not a video. Probably.
You want to take a video when you are...
Yeah, when when everyone's here,
Yeah.
it'll just be over in that corner.
Maybe like even to see the video of the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone stand. Yeah, I think okay. Hi, Ken. How you going?
I'm all right.
Brilliant. Good to see you.
Okay.
That'd be nice, actually. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good. We're just having a quick coffee.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So I'll introduce you to.
Yeah.
It's really public sector.
No.
Busy topic. It's just so busy.
But this,
Well, exactly. That's what I've got. You might have made the best of it.
yeah.
But yes, you would like it, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it's it's interesting. Every VC will bring their own little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's nice from the photos this time. I've not had that before.
No.
And I was thinking it's going to take a while, so we didn't actually have
It wasn't. No, it's funny. A couple of people were in the queue. They were getting individual packs of them. Always said to them, that's it now. So when you worry about that extra 10 minutes.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Well, exactly. That's good. Recording of it. But you need it down here, aren't you, Gary? So we can be doing your thing. So, Jay, you're going to do your song, yeah? So thank you for coming back on time. As I say, it's been a wonderful morning here for the presentations. I was bowled over with how professional and how expert everybody was. So it's really good to see. It's quite humbling to see how strong everyone's been, and it's been really wonderful to see that they've done such a great job. So the next stage is obviously to formally sort of appreciate what they've done here. So we have a certificate of achievement to give out. But prior to doing that, I believe that the students have a little demonstration they want to give to us first. So over to you, students.
Yalama, 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 noi, 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 yalama, 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 noi, 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 Marshal Papworth, yalama, yalama, Marshal Papworth, yalama, noi, 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 Harper Adams, yalama, yalama. Harper Adams, yalama, noi, 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 yalama, 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 noi, yalama, 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 noi, yalama, 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 Malawi, yalama, yalama. Yalama, 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 Africa. Yalama, 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 yalama.
All right, so the song was sung in the Teso language. It is a Kenyan language, and it simply means thank you, Marshal Papworth, thank you, Harper Adams, for giving us the sponsorship and for the knowledge you have imparted on us. Thank you very much. That is the beginning.
Before we go over to our Vice Chancellor, I think Robert wants to say a few words on behalf of the group.
Everyone. I'm standing here on behalf of say words of appreciation for the year. 2022. Vice Chancellor, Marshal Papworth Fund Committee, NGOs, representatives, students, ladies and gentlemen. The 7-member 2022 batch of the Marshal Papworth Student Course wish to thank the Almighty God for bringing us this far. The life of the late Marshal Papworth, our hero, was the embodiment of empathy, selflessness, and true love of humanity. The ripple effect of what we are all witnessing today. His legacy has been able to live on by way of a fund which provides scholarship for students in developing countries, including Ghana, Kenya, and Malawi, where we have come from to study at this prestigious agricultural university. We would also like to express our deepest gratitude East of England Agricultural Society, Marshal Papworth Fund Committee, in particular, Tom, Steve, Alice, Nigel, and Annie, for providing us with the opportunity to study at Harper Adams University. Sandra, Mitch, and Edmond, we are very grateful to you for picking us up at the airport and organizing a deserving orientation, which was very useful in guiding us the life here in the UK and on campus of Harper Adams University in particular. Throughout our stay on campus, the three of you became our second parents as we constantly checked on us through emails, WhatsApp to know if everything was fine with us. Thank you, Mitch, for making it a priority to provide food stuff for our upkeep every weekend and for taking us out for shopping at regular intervals. Thank you, Ed, for giving us the opportunity to try our hands on milking cows, feeding calves. For some of us, it was our very first time. We are grateful to all lecturers who interacted with us. They all exhibited mastery in their respective fields and impacted a great deal of knowledge to us within the 9 weeks period of academic engagement. The knowledge and exposure we have had in the areas of soil, farm machinery, crop, and animal management, among others. We change our way of farming and make our future farm practices more sustainable. To James Parish, Alice Townsend, and all other farmers that we were privileged to visit and learn from, we thank them for opening their doors for us and taking time to teach us what they do on their various farms. Those visits were very useful and should be continued. At this point, we wish to thank the Vice Chancellor for making time to interact with us a week before the end of our stay here. Again, we are grateful to the Vice Chancellor and the management team of Harper Adams for giving us unrestricted access to the state-of-art learning facilities that exist here in this university. We would like to thank our organizations, Self-Help Africa, ADRA Ghana, Free Aid, and the Ripple Effect for choosing us to come and undergo this course. Finally, we thank the teaching and non-teaching staff for their services offered to this group. They really played a role in making our lives comfortable on campus. On this note, we say God bless Marshal Papworth Foundation, God bless Harper Adams University, God bless United Kingdom, God bless Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robert. And now over to our Vice Chancellor, Ken Sloan, who will please say a few words before we get out to the presentation.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to speak to you this morning. And once again, put on my gown. I wore it for the first time yesterday. I feel I should wear it every day, so we'll see what happens. Firstly, thank you to Marshal Papworth Foundation, also to the East of England Agricultural Society for the partnership that you have frankly brought to us. There may have been a moment where you needed a partner and the university stepped into that, but it genuinely does feel like a meeting of minds and a meeting of hearts that has brought this programme to the university. To our students, I had the absolute privilege of being with you last week, and we talked about what you learned, what you'd experienced, what was new, what was different, and you spoke so openly and persuasively and eloquently about the experience of coming into the United Kingdom, being able to see different experiences, not just at the university, but in different farms, different settings. And it's really very clear that this programme does make a difference. But I want you to know, as you return to your respective countries, your respective farms, that it doesn't just make a difference to you, it actually makes a difference to us. So to hear you speak in the way that you've just spoken and to sing in the way you've just sung is not only deeply moving for us, it really does show that no matter where we are in the world, we have certain things in common. We have our land, we have our food, we have our sea, we have our animals, and we have our humanity. And the most important thing that we can do is make sure that we share that, share the knowledge of that, share the experience of that, to make sure that as many people as possible are able to benefit from the natural resources that we are so lucky to have access to in different parts of the world. We know that in different places that there is not fair access to food, there's not fair access to water, and there are lots of places which have abundant access to it, and there are lots of places that still struggle to feed populations. And it's important that we work collectively to address that and to try and make sure that as many people as possible in the world get access to the food that they need to be enriched and nourished to enable them to not only survive but to thrive. I've explained previously about I've got a personal connection to a small village-based charity in Uganda, where the focus of that charity is to use the skills of the land as a way of encouraging people to be able to survive and thrive. And this programme, it's wonderful to come to this university and be the Vice-Chancellor and to see through the partnership with Marshal Papworth that we're seeing something very, very similar where we're bringing together a wonderful community of people to live together, learn together, and hopefully thrive together. So it's been my pleasure, it's been the pleasure of everyone at the university. I'd like to say in particular thank you to Mitch and to Ed for the way in which you have stepped up and stepped in to lead this programme. Thank you to all of my academic colleagues and professional services colleagues that provide help and support throughout this programme. It's so when you run a university, I'll just say this in the most informal way, right? You get exposed to the best of the world, you get exposed to the worst of the world. So I don't always get letters telling me how good a day someone has had. Often I get the letter telling me about the day that they rather wish they hadn't had. But the real privilege about being a Vice-Chancellor is that you get to be associated with wonderfully special moments like this, which is when all of the areas of division that can happen in our countries, in our world, disappear. And what we do is we focus on what really matters, which is our collective wish and our collective will to survive and thrive and be successful. So thank you for the privilege of letting me be part of today. And I know we're going to present you with some certificates in a second or so. But from my perspective and from me to you personally, I said to you last week that you are now part of this community and you stay part of this community. And I look forward to that connection developing and growing over time. You set me a challenge last week, which was to find more money to provide postgraduate scholarships for people to come. And I take your challenge. I'm only 9 months in, I can't do it straight away, but I will certainly take on the challenge. But it's been an absolute privilege, and I really do look forward to being able to present your certificate, Sam. But thank you for coming. I'm even going to put on my special.
Okay, so first up we have Robert Atawura.
Well done. Let's smile that way first. Now let's smile that way. Can't you tell I've done this? Any consolation, I did this 600 times.
This is James Adamu. And next we have Vincent Barassa Ekapolo. Sorry, I need to give you
Right, this one. Right, we're going this way.
Thank you. And Kadoa Sampson.
There you go. Right. You know the routine?
Yeah.
This way. Now this way.
Evelyn Mamau.
And now this way.
Hassan Abdul Rahman. And last but not least, George Mbali.
Now you know it.
Thank you very much. And now we bring ourselves to the Marshal Papworth Foundation. Chair, we'd like to say a few words first. Thank you, Bob.
Well, it's amazingly quickly how 8.5 weeks has sort of disappeared from when you turned up in early May. But it's great to see, so I've seen you at the very start and now at the very end, how you've all grown in terms of sort of knowledge you've gained and the experiences. I'm sorry that I haven't been able to sort of see you more throughout the 8.5 weeks, but it's great that you've all you have. Really impressed with the presentations that you've given. A few thank yous. Firstly, a big thank you to Harper Adams University, particularly, who put together the course. As you will appreciate it, challenges around COVID. It hasn't been easy. Quite late in the day that it was done, to put together the program you have. Very much, both of you and lecturers. I'd also just like to thank, I know here that the Papworth Sandra, who never is a hand to you all in get here and owners are actually not able to go to issue all very. And lastly to the students, thank you very much for coming and giving your time here, being not on the course. It's great. And to continue to say that the standard of your presentations was changing, and that was finding which way to sort of set the fund up. We hope that you'll go on from here. Take things. One request, it really is important to us that with the game, we are in the process of make alumni active as other years. Hope that we get continued benefit after this creating within. But it's well, very safe journey home. It's been really a pleasure having a great deal from various stakeholders. Future and they are past. Very much.
That was a good thing. You were
What I would like to say is, England Agriculture Society is a charity set up in 1797. That makes it 225 years old. Set up to educate farmers in the UK. Very successful doing it. Marshal Papworth Initiative is one of the best things we've done. Society has two things. Rural life. This initiative satisfies all of those. I'd like to have my first echo Tom's remarks about Sandra being actually not actually lovely to hear. I have been inspired by your presentations, challenges, every one of you, eloquently, but all together, so many of these challenges can overcome, and I believe you will overcome. They encourage you to, as Tom said, stay in touch with each other, stay in touch with us, and together we will work for betterment. I'd just like to say what a privilege it is. Thank you very much for everything you've done. Important for us. Have you been? Okay. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. So it's my pleasure and my sadness to say we've finished. So, like Tom was saying, it's going to be really nice for you to get on your planes and go home and see your families. There are some safe journeys tomorrow. Sven is finally going to take Vincent and Evelyn at 4:30 in the morning to get a 10:20 flight to Kenya. Then Ed's going to take everybody else down at 8 o'clock and make sure they get safely to the gates. George has got a flight at 9 o'clock, so you'll be at the airport all day, but we're not going to leave you just in departures for 6 hours. You and Ed will go to a hotel and rest until your flight's ready. So we'll be looking after you until you're on that flight. And as I say, it's been a real privilege to have you here. And it's obviously boded well. I mean, Robert, he brought with this lovely garment, and it's in Harper Adams colours. So with that, as I say, let's draw it to a conclusion. All I say to the students is, if you want to go to Wellington and to Telford, obviously I'm happy to take you there and help you prepare for your journeys back. Buy some luggage down, which is going to be important, I think. So we'll get all those things done this afternoon. Meet you outside QMH at 2:30, and we'll do those things. But otherwise, we're all finished, and thank you for coming. It's been a real joy. Thank you. And now it's lunchtime. Lunchtime. Oh, yeah, that's a really good idea. Thank you, Ken.